Hello, everyone. My name is Destiny Marzetti. I am a graduate of the Europe Bay Area DVC campus. I am excited to be the first student graduation speaker representing DVC. I am humbled to share my story with you. Never in a million years could I imagine that I would be standing here in front of all of you, sharing my story. A story of how I overcame the opportunity divide and imposter syndrome. Many of you may be familiar with the opportunity divide, but what is the imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is when a person believes that they do not deserve all that they have achieved, although there is clear evidence that they do deserve all that they have accomplished. The mere fact that I am standing here speaks to my growth and development as a year-up student. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, California. I am the fourth oldest of 9 children. We grew up in a single-parent household with a mother who seemed to never have time for us. Most of my childhood, my siblings and I were split up, living in different homes. Our lives were very chaotic at a young age, seeing and hearing things that no child should be around. But this only made us stronger. At the age of 5, I moved with my aunt. I can still remember my first years of kindergarten with her. She and her husband tried their best to care for me, but with my aunt battling an addiction and my uncle constantly in and out of the hospital, made taking care of me harder for them. Things got harder once my uncle passed, who was the head of the household. We were evicted. We were forced into eviction. I ended up living on my own immediately after graduating high school. I moved to Fresno, rooming with 3 other women. I attended Fresno City College, not with the intentions of graduating, but to depend on financial aid to survive. I got my first job working as a cashier working at Burlington Coat Factory, barely making $9 an hour. Things were hard at the time. I didn't have a car, let alone know how to drive. So getting back and forth to school and work was hard. I had to depend on others for transportation and walking miles when I had to. I began to fail classes and got put on academic probation, which meant I wouldn't receive financial aid for a semester. Luckily, I was smart enough to put extra money towards my rent for times like this. I was caught up on my rent for the next 2 months, but this wasn't forever, and knew I had to figure something else out. I moved back to Pittsburgh and began to work various jobs, from retail to security, never keeping a job longer than 3 months because I never had the right motivation in myself. I was just moving through life aimlessly. Within a 2-year span, I lost a lot of people close to me, including my grandfather, my father, and my younger cousin, who was more like a brother to me. This caused me to be more depressed. Emotional and angry, I got on a plane and moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and I immediately began looking for work. I got a job at a warehouse working inventory. I saved every dollar I made and bought a car and taught myself how to drive. After a month, the person that I was staying with put me out, and I was now down to my last dollar. Sleeping in my car, thousands of miles away from anyone who could help me. Feeling alone and afraid, I could still hear the Georgia rain hitting my car, waking me out of my sleep. A friend of mine offered to fly in and help me drive back to California, and we did. Spending 2.5 days in a car, I had a lot of time to think. I knew I had to change my life. I moved back to California and got a job as a security officer, but I knew this wouldn't last long and knew I had to find a better solution. Dreading the thought of retail or in-home care work again. But just when I wanted to give up, I remember my stepsister had finished a program called Year Up a few years ago and saw how she could now provide for herself. But there was no way that I can commute from Stockton to San Francisco every day. I did my own research on the program, and I found out there was a site at Diablo Valley College that would be starting soon. Although it wasn't exactly a short commute, but it was closer than San Francisco. I felt like this could be my last shot at success, so I applied and got accepted. I spent my first 4 months commuting from Stockton to Pleasant Hill, 2 hours each way. This commute began to take a toll on me. So I moved to Antioch with my brother and his stepmom, then to Fremont, now back to Pittsburgh. To be honest, I struggled in program, but not with the classes. That was the easy part for me. But it was hard for me to keep my points up. I felt like I earned infractions every day, from being underdressed because I didn't have the proper clothes, or coming in late and sleeping in class because of the commute. One thing that Europe has taught me was to honor my why. When things got tough, I always used my why as my motivator, which are my siblings. My siblings are my motivators. My siblings are my motivators because when things get hard, I would always think of them and the things we had went through as a child, and we overcame. And I knew this would have to be another obstacle I would have to finish. I was initially very standoffish to everyone at Europe because I was homeless and battling depression. I didn't share this with anyone at first because I didn't want to be judged. I would leave whenever the opportunity came, ditching any social groups they tried to form. But that quickly changed once I formed relationships with staff and students who did not judge me, but they see me for me. I then found myself being involved in everything. Joining social groups like BASA, an African American student group, a women's group, and a students outreach committee, where I had the opportunity to tell the public about this program that wanted to help young adults. These programs helped me find my voice, and they helped me to start to find ways to fight against the imposter syndrome. Europe is the first place that I heard about feedback being a positive thing, because I always thought about feedback as constructive criticism or a way to say that you're not doing something right. I was probably the first person to receive feedback during Friday feedback. I heard one of my peers call my name, and I thought, wow, I messed up already, and it's only been 3 weeks. I received feedback from my now good friend, Justin, but at that time, I didn't even know he saw me, let alone would he have anything good to say about me. But he surprised me. He said to me, "Believe in yourself. I don't know if you see it, but you're great." I thought he said this because it sounded good, and this guy was just being nice. But that wouldn't be the last time I heard these words. Various staff members and students would tell me the same thing, but it was still hard for me to see it. I mean, who was I for someone to think that I was great? One day, a woman named Natalia came to our women's group to speak to us, and she talked about the imposter syndrome. And I immediately thought that Europe brought her there just for me, so that I can hear what they have been trying to show me, that I was making progress, and to believe in myself. It was hard for me to see because I didn't have a lot around me to speak positivity into me, let alone acknowledge my growth. After hearing her speak, I played her words in my head for weeks, trying to change my way of thinking. Europe has helped me break the fixed mindset that I have been carrying around for years, allowing me to see my true potential. So I can now acknowledge my growth and be proud of it without accepting it as luck, but as my skills and dedication. Just a year ago, I thought this program was just pulling us in for a head count to make the money, when in reality, Europe is full of people who owe us nothing and are putting everything in it so that we can be better people, opening doors for us that would allow us to be providers for ourselves and our families. And it's free. All you have to do is provide the willpower to be a better version of yourself. LCA has become my family and my sole source of support. My colleagues and staff stood by my side. Every day, we grew together, pushing each other to reach our true potential, truly lifting while we climb. This was exactly the type of environment I needed to be in to thrive, because it's something I never had. And I'm proud to say that I am now thriving. I earned my internship at Rodan Fields as an audiovisual help desk technician, surrounded by a team that fully supported my goals and pushed me to achieve them, never hesitating to remind me of the hard work and the value that I added to their team. This was my first time being in a work environment that I could see myself being in for the long run. I almost forgot that I was an intern. I can now use these skills to apply to jobs with confidence. So if anyone is out there hiring, you better act fast. I am proud of myself for what I have accomplished in the Euro program. My next step is to continue my career in the tech field and eventually go back to school. As a woman of color, I realize there are a few of us in the tech field. I want to inspire other women of color to pursue careers in tech. I also want to follow my passion, which is starting a nonprofit merging technology and music together. I would like to close with a poem that resonates with me. It is called Our Deepest Fear by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond our measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. It is not just in some of us, it is in all of us. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And to our graduating class, don't let imposter syndrome hold you back. We all deserve this. Thank you.